Hey, I'm Roland, and welcome to my little YouTube channel. We went to China last week with Huawei, and we had a chance to actually get a Moto M. So I guess this is kind of the first unboxing or kind of hands-on video that is not a Chinese dub here on YouTube. And yeah, this is it. This is the Chinese version. It's coming out in the United Emirates. In a few weeks, it will be the same device, just a different ROM. This still has a Chinese ROM on it. I hope to get the international ROM or the more stock version of Android on here. This has been pretty much modified and using Lenovo's Vibe UI. But let's get into the box. As you can see, you have this color gold in this case. The white silver version wasn't available yet when we went over there. And yeah, if you look around the box, it's pretty much the same as you always expect from Motorola. They have a bunch of specs back here, 5.5-inch bling bling gold edition, 8 core 2.2 gigahertz Helio P15 in here, and 4 gigs of RAM actually on this device. Down here you get Bluetooth, Dolby Atmos sound. It's running Android 6.0, and it supports LTE up to 300 megabits a second. But I'll tell you more about the specs in a sec. Let's just dive into the box for now. So you get the device in this typical Lenovo or Motorola packaging in this case. Got a bunch more information on here. 16 megapixel camera on the back and an 8 megapixel shooter on the front. Let's put the phone to the side for a second. Dive deeper. This is our receipt from China, and as you can see here, somewhere down here, it's actually 2,000 yuan in China right now, so this works out to just over 290 euros, and 290 US dollars is pretty much the same. And this gets you a pretty decently spec'd mid-range device. This is the charger. It's a 2 amp charger, so they call it quick charge, but basically it's just your average 10-watt charger as usual, using USB right there. This is the USB Type-C cable right here. So as you can see, it's got the reversible plug on it, and further down in the box there's a bunch of stuff. So these are just the quick start guides and the typical paperwork. Let me work my way through here. So we have the SIM card tray pick, and in China you also get a cover foil for the Moto M in this case. Yeah, that's pretty much it in the box. There is a special deal they have down there in China right now where you would also get a bunch of headphones from Motorola with the device, but in my case we didn't manage to actually score the promotional stuff. Let's get the device out of its cover foil, and as you can see on the back, it's a full metal unibody design basically, but I'll show you that in 1 second. I have already set this up, been playing around with it a tiny bit. Let me just quickly unlock this right here. So there you go. There we have the Android that's running on here. As you can see from the sides here, if you look closely, you'll notice this has this 2.5D cover glass on here, as is nowadays pretty much common on most devices. It has a 5.5-inch IPS panel in here that's running at 1080p, so that's 1920 by 1080 pixels in this case. There are no capacitive buttons on the front, which is typical or not very common in Chinese phones. They're using the on-screen buttons right here. Down here we have the pretty prominent Moto logo on this device, although it is made by Lenovo in China. Up top you get the front-facing speaker, and right next to that is the brightness sensor and distance sensor, plus your 8 megapixel front facing camera. If we go around the sides, you can see the antenna lines here, and as you can tell, the device is actually a full metal body that is being used here. So they're using these antenna lines. There's no cutouts actually behind this, so this is very well made. The quality is actually pretty much impressive on this device. It has these chamfered edges and this diamond cut that goes around the device right here. You have the volume buttons on the side here and the power button. They are made out of metal, I think, and they're not the best fitting, but they have a good click point to them. And yeah, it's pretty easy to reach them. They also have this texture on the power button right here, so there's a nice feeling to it, and you can actually tell it apart from the other buttons. Going further down, you get a single speaker on the right, I believe, and on the left is just a mock grill where the microphone is housed, and in the middle you will also have your USB Type-C port, which is a USB 2.0 port, so there's not the high speeds that you would be able to achieve with a 3.0 port. In the middle is those two screws that actually make you able to take the device apart. Going over to the left, there's pretty much nothing there except for this dual SIM card slot where you will be able to actually put in a not only two SIM cards, but you can also, if you want to, put in a memory card to extend the storage. Let me just quickly open this and get this out so you can see it. It's on the left. We have the slot that doubles also as the micro SD slot. I'll just put in a T-Mobile SIM for Germany right now. And there's one thing you have to remember about this device, or at least the Chinese version, is the fact that this only supports Chinese bands, which means you get most bands actually that you would also expect to be using in Europe, for example. But in this case, they are limited to band 1, 3, 7, and a bunch of other Chinese bands. And yeah, band 20, which is the one that we use mostly in Germany, is not supported on this device. So you have to remember that if you want to buy this, and you might end up skipping from 3G to 4G from time to time, depending on your network operator or what bands the company uses. In my case, it's T-Mobile on this device right now. So let me just quickly unlock this. There we have it. Once it's unlocked, you will be able to see up here it has 4G, but that's only on this one network operator, mostly slipping back to 3G because the coverage is not very good on the other bands that are not band 20 actually in Germany. Yeah, going back over to this to the rear here, we have the 16 megapixel camera on the back that uses 1 micron pixels, so they're pretty tiny pixels. You will notice that when taking pictures outside, so the lighting is not very good in low light situations, and you will end up with quite a bit of grain there. We have the dual LED flashback here. So it has those two different colors that will be adjusted to make your skin look better, for example. Then we have the fingerprint reader, which is actually very quick. So let me just show you. I'm just going to lock the device and unlock it. And as you can see, it is pretty quick unlocking the device. It's almost Huawei level because Huawei always has pretty much the fastest fingerprint readers as far as I can tell. The whole thing is packaged in this pretty good looking gold casing right here. The only Motorola logo on the back is pretty much the only thing that you will see on the back, because what they've done is they've moved most of the regulatory information over here to the side. So as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff mentioned there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The whole thing weighs in at 168 grams, I believe, and it is 7.85 millimeters thick, so it's not the thinnest device. You get the MediaTek Helio P15 in here, so that's a faster version of the Helio P10, and I have been running a bunch of benchmarks on here, and I'll try and find my my scores actually, if I can only manage to. That's the hard part about it right now. So I've run Antutu on here, and as you can see, you score just under 54,000 points on this. I've also had 55,000, so it's a typical mid-range result that you would expect from the Helio P15 on here. There's 4 gigs of RAM, and you also have 32 gigs of internal flash storage. So let me just quickly show you how much space is still left. So you end up with around 24 gigabytes of usable storage on this device once you are all set up. Again, it supports AC Wi-Fi. It also has dual band support, so 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands are supported. LTE up to 300 megabits, depending on what bands are supported in your country. That's the most important part about this device. And yeah, the Moto M is running Android 6.0 in this case. It has this modified UI on here, the Chinese UI, and the Chinese UI means there's a bunch of problems with translation. Actually, you also end up with a bunch of apps pre-installed. For example, Microsoft is putting their apps pretty much front and center on this device, so we have Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, and OneNote on here. Cortana is not present in this case, also no Skype or anything, which is probably the reason for that is probably regulations in China in this case. The UI is also special in the sense that as this is a Chinese device, there is no Google software on here. I've only installed Photos so far, but other than that, there is pretty much no Google services on here. I was also not able to install any Google services, which, well, kind of sucks, but I hope I get a ROM from the United Emirates, and I hope that, yeah, then I will be able to actually have all the Google stuff supported on here. We have the App Center, which is basically a Chinese app store that Lenovo is pre-installing here. You'll find most of the apps that you would need in here, except for, yeah, all those Google apps, because the Play services are always crashing. Let me just quickly show you that. So this is what I ended up with when trying to install the Google services or Play Store on this device. So far, pretty much no luck. Yeah, but, well, what am I supposed to do? There is all this typical Android stuff in here, so you get the cleaner stuff, the cleaner button down here. You also have this pretty much not very highly modified UI on here, so you get the quick settings up here. It's all in a pretty low DPI setting actually, so you'll end up with pretty much pretty big icons and stuff. You can't actually change that on here, which is, well, not the best thing to actually happen to me because I like it when stuff is a bit smaller. There's a bunch of tools pre-installed. You also get these great apps, what they're calling it in the translation. So that's a bunch of Chinese services, for example, Weibo, the mapping service right there, and Alipay, which is also supported before the lock screen on here, so you can pay wirelessly, at least when you are in China. Other than that, the UI has a bunch of different icons on here. You also get this theme center app, which allows you to actually change a bunch of change around on the icons or switch out the look of the device or the interface at least. It's all Chinese, so I can't pretty much do anything with it. You're not able to switch around on the buttons down here, so it's a pretty limited UI in this case, at least when you're using it in the Western countries. You also get a Lenovo browser on here, so there's pretty much no Google stuff on this device. But let's just quickly try and check out the camera for a second. So I have this Chupa Chups down here, so it's just my lollipop right there. What's interesting is you always have to agree to a bunch of stuff, so they pretty much granularly allow you to switch around on the UI, and you'll be able to set it up pretty nicely to your liking, dealing with all these presets to yeah, give rights to the apps so they don't do anything without your liking. And the camera is actually, well, in bright situations like this right now, it should be pretty much okay. As soon as you start going a bit further down in the lighting, actually, you will end up with the device having a bunch of problems there. So if you look at the pictures, yes, this is a 16 megapixel camera. I've set it to the highest resolution right now, but quality could be a bit better. Also, the colors are a bit off because, as you can see, like, it has a blue tint to it, so they might be able to fix that through software. The device only has been out in China for like 2 weeks, for I think, and yeah, there's a bunch of stuff they definitely need to fix on here. Looking at the camera app, you can also switch to the front camera, which I believe is up here, and then you will see that it has pretty prominently placed down here those beautification stuff, the typical beautification stuff that you always end up on the Chinese devices. The front-facing camera is actually pretty decent because it has this 8 megapixel sensor. Let me just quickly snap a shot right here, and we'll take a closer look at my ugly face, and yeah, you'll see. Well, it's a bit grainy as I'm in the dark right now, but it pretty much works okay. So you should be able to take some pretty decent selfie shots with this. So yeah, that's just been a very quick look at the Moto M, which is actually now out in China. As I said, it's launching in the United Arab Emirates pretty soon, and we'll see how that goes. They said on the Moto site that it was going to be running a Snapdragon 617 or 616, I believe. But that's definitely not the case. This will also run the Helio P15 on the international version that hopefully soon will be out. Before I forget about it, up top we have the 3.5 millimeter headset jack and your noise cancellation mic. And yeah, other than that, it's a pretty much a no-frills phone that is definitely of a very high build quality. I mean, it's super stable. You won't be able to bend this in any way. And there's also no flakes on the back, so it feels very sturdy actually. One thing that I'm missing on here is a notification LED. So this device actually does not have a notification LED. At least I haven't found any settings, and all the messages or notifications that I've received have not triggered any notification LED so far. So yeah, that's the one thing that is definitely missing on this device, which is the Moto M. So if you like those kinds of videos that I'm doing, trying to find a bunch of special devices from China or other countries, follow me on Twitter. It's my name basically, Roland Quandt, which is RQUANDT on Twitter. Also follow me on YouTube, and I hope you like what I do, and we'll see you later.